Mariam Bishar, welcome. How are you doing? Do you need a minute?
No, actually. Thankfully, I've had at least
You've had
the
a minute.
Yeah. I'm so sorry about what you've dealt with.
No, it's okay. I mean, we've all dealt with it. I don't think anyone has had a smooth ride into work today. And there are people who are still trying to make it to their places of work, into CBD for whatever reason, into many CBDs across the country. Happy to be here, though. Good morning, guys.
Happy to have you.
Happened?
I was in between roadblocks is how I got stuck. So from about 5:30 a.m., I promise you, to 6:10, I was in between two roadblocks, just unable to basically move. Integrity Center on one way, University Way roundabout on the other. So back, forth, back, forth, on, off. Finally, and I just made it here because I had the help of an NMG driver who was able to get me, able to get in. Again, he's just very well spoken, so a big shout out to him. But the back and forth that it has taken to get here, there's just 40 minutes of
being stuck.
Kumefungwa hapo. Kumefungwa pale. Kumefungwa hapo. Kumefungwa pa. And I promise you, it's a distance of a kilometer between that roadblock.
And it's you and several people stuck. Were people trying to talk to?
People are trying to talk to them. So it depends on who you find. Some are gracious and they're just like, they'll do this diversionary cute thing where they're like, apana, and the next one. It's the same for you
guys. Say that until you find yourself outside
yes,
CBD.
until you they just push it to the next one. Enda hiyo ingine. Aya, unafika hiyo ingine. Ongea na huyo mkubwa kwa hapo. Okay, unaongea na mkubwa. Aya, basi ongea. That's from University Way, Kenyatta Avenue, Haile Selassie. But then now what got me is getting to Haile Selassie, and I'm like, I know this scent. I know this smell. I realize it's tear gas. I'm like, when did you even start throwing tear gas at people? So at Haile Selassie already, that's in the air. I don't understand the why, because there was barely anyone.
Philo, our director, is saying he was there at 5:30, and that you said that's when they started lobbing tear gas. Okay.
As early as 5:30, Haile Selassie. Remember Haile Selassie? This is where we have that bus terminus, Green Park, Matatu terminus, right? So all those matatus that are trying to come, they usually access the terminus, are trying to access it. So you have very many people who would be there.
Right.
Now, if police are trying to control them by just lobbing tear gas,
but that's the
chaos
thing.
it's creating.
How many people were there? Maybe when Phil was there was a bit more people. By the time I got there, it was basically a ghost town. It's 2 or 3 vehicles trying to get through the roadblocks. The rest are just going around the roundabout and just going ahead. But matatus, again, there's Green Park, there's railways, which you also access through that. So I don't understand when it became illegal to move. Same thing with the Madaraka Express that conveniently just had technical hitches. How many SGR trains do we have, guys?
Good question.
Is it 1?
No, trains iko kadhaa.
Okay.
Maybe technical hitch ilikuwa kwa rail.
They've not expounded. Okay. They've just said go to the terminus.
Barabara ya train.
Ndio kuna technical hits.
Barabara ni moja.
This is very worrying. It's very worrying. It's worrying because, again, as a lot of people have said, the CS said categorically, go to work tomorrow. It'll be fine. What do you mean roadblock and disruption? I expect you to go to work. That is, I think, the most frustrating thing out of everything, even everything Mariam has captured and people are capturing is already so frustrating. But it could have been so much easier to say, just it might be by fluke that you get to work tomorrow. We do expect there to be roadblocks, of course, because of the scale at which we're seeing the protests. This is me just trying to correct his presser. Let's hear
what he said.
Oh, yeah, actually, let's hear that fix it.
We've got the bite of Geoffrey Rocco, the Cabinet Secretary for Public Service, and also the Cabinet Secretary for the Interior, Kipchumba Murkomen, who spoke about people going to work today. Let's listen to them.
Monday is not a public holiday. We are expected across the Republic of Kenya to be in our offices, in all the regional offices, and doing spot checks. Aujui nitaamkia wapi kesho. Na nikifika nikute hakuna watu, then there will be letters of show cause as why you are not reporting to a workstation.
Nimeambia askari wetu wakuwe wapole kama njiwa, wakuwe wapole na wazuri kwa wananchi. Lakini kama ni kupambana na majangili na wale ambao wanataka kuharibu mali ya umma na wale ambao wanataka kuua wananchi wengine ama kuua polisi, wawe wakali sana kuhakikisha wananchi wanadumishwa amani. Mnataka nchi yenye polisi anafukuzwa? Hapana. Polisi anapigwa mawe? Hapana. Ati polisi amekimbizwa? Hapana. Tunataka nchi yetu ikuwe ni nchi ya amani. Na waomba wale wote wanajaribu kusema maandamano Jumatatu ama siku yoyote ingine yenye napanga, kujeni kwa maandamano kwa njia ya amani.
So there is the interior CS and saying, okay, police wakue kwa amani, but also deal with anybody who brings vugu-vugu. But Geoffrey Rocco, okay, on the one hand, you can say he's talking to everybody across the country. So not all places have been closed. But then there are very many people who are in the public service who work in Nairobi. And the Nairobi public servants work in certain areas within the CBD radius. Right. They will not be able to come to work today.
No. It's quite literally the seat of government, right? The Nairobi CBD. I wonder, will parliamentarians be able to get to work? Is there an exception for them?
I think they're on recess, I think.
They're on recess?
Yes.
Okay. Must be nice.
Must be nice.
How convenient.
That you don't. And he also said we'll ensure that...
But the Senate is supposed to be sitting this week.
So we'll see if they can access it.
To hear the impeachment of the governor of Isiolo. Those ones may be able to access. Their staff will have a problem. You see, an MP will show their badge and all, and they'll be allowed in.
Through.
The staff of the Senate, how will they be able to access?
So yes, that was...
I don't understand. The freedom of movement is very much guaranteed. That is obvious. But these roadblocks at 3, 4, 5 a.m., starting as early as that time, again, in fear of what exactly? What is the why? I am incredibly confused.
Just announce it, right?
You could announce it, but then you'd have to give a reason, Eric. If you announce it, you have to give a reason.
You can give a reason. You can give a reason and say, because we expect that there's going to be mandamano, just so that we can clear the space in the CBD for people to protest peacefully and all, do not bring your vehicles into the CBD.
That's it.
You know.
But are people walking into the CBD?
Yeah, just say, do not. People are walking into the CBD, are they not?
Are you sure people are walking?
Some pedestrians are also being turned away now.
There are some pedestrians being turned around, especially if you get off a matatu. Yes. And then you try and walk closer to the CBD, you have to turn around.
Being turned around.
We have Gideon. Gideon from Githurai, Pia, just to changia and let us know. So Gideon, unatupata?
Yeah, nakupata.
Okay. Basi tuelezee endelea.
Nilifanya kazi Mlolongo na lazima ni access CBD ndio ni connect gari za kwenda Mombasa Road to Mlolongo. But now ifika hapo Githurai gari zote zimefungwa, kuna ku access from Roysambu kuna baria. Tulikuwa tunaenda na Ndudia kazi ndio jaribu kufika but kuna bari hapo Roysambu hakuna kupita bado, karudi tena. Kajaribu another route tumia bypass, bado there are some barriers along bypass. So imekuwa ngumu, so now tumerudi tu kwa nyumba tujione kwa TV venye tu sasa tuko.
Umepigia mdosi wako?
Actually nilimpigia, nilitoka kwa nyumba around 4:30. So kufika stage 4:30, kupata kuna gari, so nikampigia nikamwambia, unajua saa chini nafanya kazi, ile siku umeingia ndio unalipwa, so nikamwambia leo hatuwezi access fika kazi leo.
Akasema
anyway ni sawa, so but kaniambia huwezi jaribu njia nyingine, nikamwambia actually haiwezi make ni ngumu.
Pole because now that's a day's worth of wages umehata hivyo tu. Thank you.
To make it worse, Jana, we are public, CS or public, and it's not a public holiday. People are supposed to access to work, but yet now they have closed the roads, so you can't access your place of work. So what do we do now? Because some of us, we can't work from home. We have to work 20 cars.
Physically, yeah. It's a good question.
Yeah, so you see, sometimes unapata so hii kama ukipata kama hapo Kivutha around about stages, so hii ndio ni kama wanaweka watu beenga. Mtu alikuwa aende kazi, hakuwa na shughuli na maybe maandamano, alikuwa afike kazi, so unapata hapo na hiyo hasira sasa, so unaona alikuwa afike kazi, hakuwa na shughuli na maandamano.
Very true.
So actually we are just bad. So kama mtu kama mimi nafanya kazi, hiyo siku nikifanya kazi ndio nalipwa. So unaona maybe for today it's another story. Mpaka kesho.
Umehata leo. Pole sana.
Pole Gideon.
Pole Gidi. Thank you.
Thank you for calling us. Gideon is probably one of thousands today, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. Especially, you're supposed to earn those wages that day.
Right.
That's the heartbreak of this all. And even as we continue to sample feedback and look at pictures which are running on our screens, if you're watching NTV, if you're listening to us on Nation FM, we're just continuing to show the different places where there's a lot of barriers and roadblocks. Seems like it's just scaled to pretty much all major roads. And we'll probably hear from people from different parts of the country as well, just to see if it's the same. But right now, coming to CBD in Nairobi is just not advised. And unfortunately, that's something that the CS had said would be possible. So we'll continue to give you an update, continue to hear from all of you. Thank you for being our eyes on the ground as well. It's important that you're vigilant and you're able to share those experiences as well.
You can send us the videos, right? On the number is 0112 500 400. So you can record a video wherever you are. You can even be talking on the video and saying, this is this particular part of the road, and this is what we're experiencing this morning, this is what I'm seeing. If it's you're able to pass, you can say you're able to pass, or if it's been blocked and you've been told you cannot pass, also let us hear you saying that and telling us where exactly that is. And also we can call you back and you can send us just messages on our WhatsApp number as well, 0112 500 400, or you can call in. And what's our calling number, Mariam?
You can call in on 0719-038-858, 0719-038-858. Yeah, we'd love to see your videos. Looking through, just a reminder on some of the closures. Ngong Road coming into the city center, it's from Junction Mall. Junction Mall is quite far, guys. It's nowhere near the CBD. This is for Nairobi. Uhuru Highway into the city center, blocked off at the mall Westlands. Again, the mall is quite a distance. Parklands roundabout into city center also blocked. So again, these are not just routes that go into the CBD. They go into many places in between. There's a lot of things between the mall and the city center. There's a lot of things between Junction and the city center. A lot of things between Parklands roundabout and the city center. A lot of roads that also lead to other places. What you've done is you've stalled movement on a large scale now across the city. And we'll look into what's happening in other cities and other major towns across the country. But for Nairobi, you've not just stalled movement into the CBD. Essentially, you've stalled movement around the entirety of Nairobi. People need to get to their places of work. People need treatment. People need to go to school. People need to go on with their lives. And also, those who wanted to come and exercise their right to picket also should be able to do that.
Exactly. Some were probably just leaving a night shift going home.
Right.
So it's all kinds. An update here that there's tension flare, the pulse of Thika Road, Ruiru Eastern Bypass at 7. Few cars on the road, mostly motorbikes, tuk-tuk, and private cars. Again, we'll try and be able to share updates and videos on the same and get calls as well. But it seems like, I mean, granted, there's going to be tension that's flaring up when people are desperately trying to get to their places of work and then being met with, rudeness, dismissive attitude, and all you're trying to do is explain yourself. I'm still not over the fact that Pale DCI people are being told, come on, enter town, a light from here and walk to town. Figure it out.
You're to walk from DCI
from
to town.
DCI to town with a straight face.
Same
they were
thing
telling
as
people.
What we're seeing here earlier, and we heard from Brian Obuya, Mariam, is that all those buses from Western, you alight at Kangemi.
So
wewe na mizigo
yako
na mtoto
uende mahali ulikuwa unaenda. Ulikuwa unaenda wapi? Maybe you are going to Kitengela. Ni sawa. So you alight at Kangemi. You are not going to find any means all the way past how far Mombasa Road, down Mombasa Road. Ndio ingie matatu yenu iko na Kitengela.
Kangemi, here's the thing. All the buses from even Uganda, not just Western Kenya.
Even Rwanda.
Yeah, they all come through that one route.
Yes.
And then sometimes you're connecting.
Yes.
Unaenda Mombasa, unaenda wapi. Now, because again, you can't access the CBD, and a lot of the buses, the major buses, their terminuses are also within the CBD.
Yep.
They'll have one or two outside, but pia uko ni
Many of them are
kutembea.
within CBD or at Machakos bus station.
That's it. And sometimes they'll stop maybe at like South Sea or something of the sort. But utatembea kutoka Kangemi hadi South Sea na mizigo yako na mtoto wako na kuku na mahindi na everything.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they're being told. And instead of being present, you're being provocative. At the bare minimum, providing alternative routes. We've said this before. It's tedious work to have every car stop and say where they're going, but it is your job. It is your job. You can't just have a blanket, all of you turn around. Then what are you there for? And already like you're on edge. I'm like, imagine a kuja tu job. And again, everything that the two of you have spoken to, I'm just going to access my medical service. I'm just going to do an errand. I'm just going to open my shop. But you're not listening to anyone. Some were gracious, some were not.
True.
That is lazy. And I think a lot of the solutions that this regime is showing us more and more are extremely lazy. This is not how to control or contain or protect citizens of Kenya. This is just a way of blanket condemnation. All of you are a problem. Every time you try to speak to them, they're like, what do you want now? It's like you have to listen to everyone. That's why you're there. And that's why you're several of you lined up across the road. But you're turning away everyone because it's easier to do that.
Yeah, so the Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, spoke, and this story is covered on page 3 of the Daily Nation today, where he says the National Police Service will double the number of officers deployed to guard Nairobi during today's Saba demonstrations. Inspector General of Police Kanja hopes the expanded deployment will help prevent the kind of widespread looting that was witnessed during the July 25th protests. Speaking to the nation yesterday, Kanja said the heavy police presence is intended to ensure there are no incidents of looting and to assure the safety of protesters. We'll continue looking at this and what the police have done, what the police are deploying, but let's also hear from you. Ernest is calling in and he'd like to share his experience. Ernest, good morning.
How are you?
Fine, thank you, and thank you for calling in. Where are you and how is it?
I'm on Eastern Bypass. Along just from Utawala, the stretch between Utawala and 75. And the road has been blocked entirely by police at 75 roundabout. So it's not going through past 75.
Okay. So no way of leaving Utawala to come into the CBD. And this is along the Eastern Bypass.
Yeah. So there's a roundabout up or around KQ, where there's a barrack.
Yes, at the barracks.
Yes.
What are the officers saying?
No, they've just blocked the road and, just saying there's no way through, and people are actually stuck in traffic because you can't turn around, like you're just stuck there.
Oh, you can't actually enter the roundabout so that you can turn around.
Yes. So people are now resolving going into the side of the road.
On the wrong side.
On the wrong side, yes.
So even when you're trying to turn around, it's a barrier.
Yes.
Where were you going to, Ernest, this morning?
I was going to Westland. Yes.
How long have you been stuck there?
I've been there for like 10-15 minutes because the traffic has piled up all the way mpaka huko katikati. Yeah, so I just tried walking mpaka hapo, and then now nikarudi. Now I'm turning back.
Were you driving or?
Yes, I was driving. Yes.
So now you have to find your way back with your vehicle to wherever. Do you intend to still go to Westlands today?
No. I just had to change plans.
What would you say to the leadership of the National Police Service, because they are watching this?
I feel this is quite unfortunate, considering the way they came yesterday, saying that today, is a normal working day, that people, should go to their offices, that there's some checking offices. If people, they expect us to go to the office, but how? The roads are blocked.
All right.
Thank you, Ernest.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry for the inconvenience. Yeah.
0719, again, what's the number?
038-858. 0719-038-858. That's the number to dial in. Of course, if you want to send us videos of the roadblocks as well, where you encounter them, what's happening there, 0112-500-400. 0112-500-400. It's at the bottom of your screen. I think when you think about how many things we're going through and you thread them, which we'll do in just a minute, in the last 24 hours alone, roadblocks now, women being attacked, mothers being attacked while simply trying to say, can we have a peaceful protest?
And then this.
And then, yes.
Yeah.
There's also many other things. Madaraka Express, conveniently anyway. Watch out to get break. We'll be right back after this. The hashtag continues to be Fixing the Nation NTV. We're live on NTV, on Nation FM, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, anywhere with a broadcast or internet signal.
J-Lock on YouTube on our live chat is saying closed roads. Wayaki, Outer Ring, Jogoo Road, Eastern Bypass at 75, Mombasa Road, Langata Road, Valley Road, Ngong Road, Thika Superhighway, Kiambu Road, all the feeder roads to CBD, which we've also talked about this morning.
Yes.
So that's what he's confirming. A lot of folks asking, hi, is Thika Road?
Thika Road Nimbaya.
Thika Road Nimbaya.
Our reporter Laban Shaban, and we'll be talking to him shortly, says that there's significant congestion on Thika Road at Roysambu. Police have established a roadblock to monitor individuals traveling towards the city. They are permitting passage primarily for essential services, particularly government officials and emergency medical personnel. And this is what we are seeing now. This is from Thika Road. This is Ruiru, Thika Road at about 7 a.m. This is what was happening. This is to Ruiru. This is the interchange for Eastern Bypass from Kamakis into Thika Road and crossing over to the other side of the other bypass, the Northern Bypass. Now, if congestion starts there, and then you come again later at Roysambu, you'll find another one. Come again later at Allsops, you'll find another one, So many blocks along Thika Road.
Right.
Police are only allowing government officials, that is GK vehicles, and ambulances. Those ones are the only ones that are allowed to pass.
Anita Njanga says Kangemi Road to Laresho was closed last night. So now I guess that's information that these were, I think we heard Brian initially saying from 3 a.m.
He was there at 3 a.m.
He was there at 3 a.m., but now it sounds like
it was
last
overnight.
night. It was overnight.
Yeah.
Right. So
Laban Shaban is with us now on the line, and he's somewhere along Thika Road. He'll tell us where exactly he is. Laban, good morning.
Good morning, Latif.
Asante sana for speaking to us. Where are you? What's happening where you are?
Okay, I'm actually on Thika Road, just past, from Ruiru, just past Roysambu. Heavy traffic is building here. Police mounted a roadblock, and a lot of cars are parked here. No movement. The only movement that we can see, motorbikes, some private vehicles that have been allowed to pass going towards towns. This is what the police are doing. The police are inspecting who is going to town. I've actually spoken to some of the officers who are manning this roadblock, and they are saying that they're only allowing civil servants to go to town, and emergency services like medical emergency services or any other media personnel they are the only people allowed to go to town. And I can tell you the situation here, many people are stranded, commuters are stranded, they don't know how to access town, because still we have people who are trying very hard to make it to town, or to maybe the town is a passage to wherever they are going to, and they will want to access town, but they cannot.
So, Laban, just to be clear, when matatus get to that roadblock, are passengers being asked to alight, and are they allowed to cross? Or are passengers also being checked one by one, and even passengers on foot are being told you cannot cross over even as a pedestrian?
Actually, Latif, no matatus no matatus in this roadblock. I can't see any matatu here. I can see only private vehicles, ambulances, some trucks, but no matatus. I actually shared a video some 20, 30 minutes ago when I was at the Eastern Bypass, Ruiru.
We have the video on air right now.
We have the video. All right. Now what you can see now, those are matatus. They cannot move. We have passengers there stranded. They want to go to town, but the matatu operators are saying, we cannot go to town because police have mounted roadblocks. They can't allow us to access town. So what we have, private vehicles only, and the police want them to produce some identification to prove that they can be allowed to go to town.
How about pedestrians? Can you cross on foot past the roadblock?
I can actually see the pedestrians are crossing. They are moving, a few handfuls, and others are going back home. The others are saying, I have to go back home. And also the vehicles here. Not all private vehicles are allowed because some have made a U-turn to go back, and some pedestrians are moving towards south.
Have you managed to talk to any of the people who are stranded there, and what's their story, like individual stories?
The individual story is that this is what one of them told me, that the government said that they can continue with their activities, their businesses, that they are going to protect their business. They are asking, why the double speak? You allow us to do our daily activities, then the following day we see you mounting roadblocks, you are not allowing us to go to town. They're actually very, very frustrated.
How about the officers?
The officers I've spoken to have said that they are enforcing a directive, and that is their job. What we are supposed to do, we are only going to allow civil servants to go to town. Any emergency, someone needing emergency services like medical services, those are the only people we are going to allow. The police officer I've spoken to actually said they are allowing only two, medical service and civil servants.
Right.
Laban, asante sana. Laban Shaban is NTV reporter. Laban, leo pia ni siku ya Kiswahili, kwa hivyo tukuzungumzia kwa Kiswahili. Tukimalizia Hajengo sema nini kuhusu siku hii ya Kiswahili?
Sorry. You're still speaking to Laban. Endelea Laban, pole.
Nimeshukuru, siwezi kuwa mchache wa fadhila. Alafu nikose kusema shukrani sana Latif kwa fursa hii nzuri ya kuweza kubadilisha taarifa hizi pia kwa lugha ya Kiswahili, lugha shirafu, lugha ambayo inapendwa, lugha ambayo ukizungumza unasikia kweli upendo ndio huo unamiminika. Kwa hivyo tunashukuru kwamba Saba ni siku kubwa ambayo ilitambuliwa na shirika la Umoja wa Mataifa kwamba ni siku ya kuenzi Kiswahili na utamaduni wake, Kiswahili na njia ya kutega uchumi, Kiswahili na kubingirisha gurudumu la maisha kila siku. Kwa hivyo ni siku muhimu, siku tukufu ya kwamba Kiswahili hiki tuseme basi ndicho ambacho kinaleta maendeleo. Nashukuru, lakini ila nakuwa na hofu, mbona siku hii inakuja siku ambayo kunakuwa na hali ya taharuki. Lakini yote tisa kumi ni kwamba siku muhimu na tutaisherehekea, tutaishabikia. Asante.
Asante sana Laban. Na leo pia ni siku ya Kiswahili duniani. Alikuwa amesema
ni kweli
ulimwengu kuadhimisha leo sherehe za 4 tangu lugha hii ipewe siku.
Hey, Kiswahili kitukuzwe.
We have some more people who are sending us their videos on what's happening around them. That's on our WhatsApp number 0112500400. We've got this. So let's just take a look at what's going on. I don't know whether Philip, we have some audio with his videos. This is in Nakuru. This is Nakuru City. And then we have others. Where is this? Bado in Nakuru hapa. Yeah, videos coming in from Nakuru. This is what's happening in Nakuru.
So likely to be the same situation in most major cities, just as we had predicted. I think it's something we had said. As we continue to look at and sample some of that footage, as we mentioned, from Nakuru, different angles, but that's essentially what's happening. You can see heavy police presence there. Roads are pretty empty, just as they are here. Nakuru-Nairobi highway closed. This is from Kimoni by goons at the escarpment view. And I remember earlier we'd spoken to Brian Ubuya, who did say another important update he wanted to give us was the unfortunate infiltration and those who are taking advantage of this situation and who are causing perceived harm to a lot of those people who are just trying to get across. We really hope they've heard this. We said this in the last hour, so hopefully some of the attention can get there. Delvis Mukosha, somebody was talking about trying to head to a construction site. Construction workers can't access their working places. I can't go today. That's Pastor Peter. Yeah, there's different people. Still, Mike, the one, Ama Tuseme, we work for affordable housing program. Tutapita roadblocks. We've started that thing as Kenyans, as Ty said, where you just laugh because now, what is this chaos and madness?
What else are you going to do?
Yeah.
Also, what Laban is saying, that they're only allowing, civil servants in and people in need of emergency services. Maybe when the PS was speaking, he was speaking to civil servants. We assume
When the
he was
CS was speaking.
CS, sorry. Yes, the CS for public service. Yeah, that's the conundrum. But maybe he was speaking to essentially his workforce, and we assumed he was speaking to the nation.
So he should have been clearer, because I actually think you're right.
Yeah.
It's like, you guys are not the audience, but it can't be that hard to be super clear. Remember even last time, and I was saying this to Eric earlier, same thing happened on the 24th of June. There was no clarity on the roads, on the situation, because we were also getting here by guesswork. So how does it hurt to just be super clear and say, given these reasons, you're going to have to organize yourself better.
Again,
and those who
because
come,
the reasons don't hold water.
They
you
find
have
themselves
to be
swallowing their words.
Exactly. You would have to be incredibly brave to come and say that we are closing the roads because there's planned protest. Then that means you have to actively admit to curtailing freedom of movement. So again, that's something they're not able to do. They will curtail the freedom of movement, but will they admit to it? No.
Yeah, we haven't had that. So yeah, a lot of disruption happening. So many people are writing into us on YouTube. I'm sure we'll sample on Facebook.
Yeah.
A lot of you also using our WhatsApp line, which we'll also use to hear from some of you or see the videos that you've shared. We are really getting our view from all of you. So it's important that you keep us updated so that we can also share with the rest of the people who might be listening and watching. Many of you are asking, what about this road? What about that road? I'm still seeing a lot of folks asking. Githurai Kukoaje, we just heard from somebody saying,
it's a no-go zone.
It's a no-go zone. So all of you who are asking on YouTube, hopefully we'll come back to you.
Right. Amos anauliza. Is saying he's from Gong. On our side, barabara imefungwa hapa Ngong Road. That I think he's saying KBC, GSU, Ndia Masai School. Hakuna gari inapita, hata ya government haipiti.
Okay.
Okay. That's a new one. It seems arbitrary to what you were speaking to, Jano. Thika Road is clean, no movement from Ruiru Kimbo. That's another one of our fixers. Hey, my good Lord. It seems so arbitrary because then some places it's, we're allowing civil servants, emergency services. Here he's saying even government vehicles. I'm like, even a GK vehicle. I look at Kangemi this morning and a fixer there has attached a photo. Perhaps we can have a look at the photo of what's happening at Kangemi. But Kangemi we've heard from many sources. So it was already blocked off at the highway. Then also going into Loresho, should you decide to go that way? Absolutely not. So any way through to Wayaki Way is just basically blocked off, essentially.
Yeah. And even though Laban had mentioned they were also allowing some media folks, it was very hit and miss. I know my experience this morning was some people were like, whatever, it doesn't matter. And others said, okay, sure, you can try your luck and go through. So even hearing about the government vehicle being stopped, I just think I believe it's just going to be very random. People will have very random encounters where at some point you'll be let through and at other points you won't, which should not be the case. There should have been clear communication, clear guidelines on alternative routes, which most nations that are functioning, I'd like to think ours is one of them, would provide alternative routes. Vulnerable vehicles, beyond ambulances, there are people in vehicles who still need to access treatment.
True.
Are they going to be able to do that? So I think it's one thing to be frustrated to where you're getting to, it's another to not have an alternative, and then it's also another one to be dismissed as if your life is less than the civil service that you're allowing to go through.
We have a live blog that's already been put up. If you go to nation.africa, you'll actually be able to get up-to-the-minute updates of what's happening. Our reporters across the country are sharing these, and then our digital team is updating this blog minute by minute. So if you just go to nation.africa, you'll find the live blog, Kenyans Mark Saba 2025. As of 2 minutes ago, Saba Road intersection in Mombasa was smooth flowing. Police on horseback patrolled the streets of Nairobi ahead of the planned Saba. That was 4 minutes ago. A clip there sent by Billy Ogada on nation.africa. 7 minutes ago, Laban Shaban sharing what was happening at Thika Road, Roy Sambu rather. Last 13 minutes ago, again, Ken Kimathi sharing earlier. So you can just get a minute-by-minute account of what's going on if you just go onto this live blog on nation.africa.
Yeah.
Many updates from across many platforms. This is how we keep ourselves updated.
And we'll continue to show this throughout Fixing the Nation today, but we'll also hopefully be speaking to Wahu Kara, global social justice activist, because I think another unfortunate thing with everything that's happened today is we've lost the meaning of what today was supposed to be.
Yes.
Right? It's 2 hours of talking about road closures, very critical, but takes away from the spirit of the 35th anniversary of Saba. So we will continue to show you the road closures from across the country. As we can see, now that we've gotten images from Nakuru, we're likely to see from different cities, but we'll also try and interweave that with reflecting on 35 years since Saba, just to think through how that paved the way for the agitation we continue to see up until even last year, and what has definitely continued into this year. So hopefully on call we will get Wahu Kara, because obviously our guest who was supposed to come today will not be able to make it to Nation Center.
Right. We'll try to get her on call. I'm looking through a lot of the road closures, and my biggest concern about this is in an attempt to curtail people's freedom of movement, to have these demos not happen, the planned demos, there's so many other things that are now suffering as a result. Again, these are major highways that we're talking about, their closure. Fine, they do lead to the CBD, but life does not begin and end in the CBD. First of all, it is already problematic that the CBD is closed off. But even if we were to excuse that, all these major roads lead to town and 100 other places in between. Places of work, places of business, places of worship, schools, everything. It's, I don't know, it's just quite ludicrous that now you're not able to get through, move from one point to another. People are not able to go to their workplaces, as we've heard. People are not able to go to their schools, unless, you know, you're a civil servant. Again, the number of things that are now coming to a standstill when the intention was that Saba be either a normal working day or a day of demos, depending on where you lie. And actually both can coexist. It can be a normal working day for some who want to work, and a day of demos for those who want to picket and to mark Saba. But now we're just in this weird limbo where nothing is happening. The economy is essentially grinding to a halt as far as the Nairobi economy is concerned, because movement is necessary. A lot of people have the privilege to work from home, but a lot more do not.
Almost feels like a majority don't have that privilege.
A big majority.
It also just feels like an overcorrection, an unnecessary one. And also, just to reiterate, don't lie to the public, because this is what has happened. I think the biggest issue, one of the biggest issues here is you cannot stand on a podium and not speak truth to the public, to the citizens of Kenya. Again, I know we're always asking lawyers here, is there legal recourse? There should be, because what you've done essentially is lied, because the lack of clarity leaves a lot to the imagination, and essentially it's a lie, because then people assumed leaving their homes. That should categorically be condemned and should never happen again. If you're going to speak there and address Kenyans, say, for whatever reason, to your point, Mariam, even if you're going to have to like choke on the lies, choke on them at least, then say, Tomorrow, the advice is don't move into town, don't go to major cities across the country, but don't stand there and lie and say you're going to be it's going to be a working day. That's really frustrated me. It really has, because you're supposed to be the people we look to for solutions and answers, then come with solutions and answers. Don't make us have to figure it out on our own. We're still sampling feedback, and we will be very soon crossing over to the top of the hour, where we hope we can get into some reflections of Saba. There is nothing more dangerous than a privileged leader blinded by power. That's Maurice Andati. There's a few people here saying that it is a security threat to close down roads like this. And I know very soon we'll be hearing from certain folks. I understand that there are people who are sending in information or want to speak with us.
Yeah, we've got Amos on the line. Amos is calling in from Nairobi, and he'd like just to share what's happening wherever he is. Amos, good morning.
Good morning, hi.
Very well, thank you. Where are you?
Currently, I'm in the house.
What happened earlier?
So I was just traveling. We're just traveling across the border. Then to south border, Busia, Uganda, then across to Kenya, and then reaching somewhere along, I think it is Wayaki way between Ngimuru. And the driver says that the roads are crossed in Kenya, so you guys need to understand how to go around your life. So we have been told to use some roads called Southern Bypass. So from there, everybody got shocked. Some people are Ugandan, they have never had Southern Bypass.
Oh gosh.
So they are being told there's something called Southern Bypass, and then you need to sort out yourself from there. So somewhere, I don't know even me where we were, but it was around 4 a.m. So people started getting out, a few remained in. Then we got out, and then we met some borders, and some traffic was building because there was some blockage along Wayaki way. So we got out, and then from there we met some border. Then we asked the border, where are we? So we need to get somewhere to Westland, somewhere to Thika Road. The guy was also going to Thika Road. Then border paid everybody 2,500, so 5,000 for 2 people to be moved from where we were to either Thika Road or Westland. My friend, it was not easy.
How far did it take you?
We don't know. It was just 4 a.m. at night, my friend. How can you even know where you are? 4 a.m. The guy doesn't even know Southern Bypass. He's a Ugandan. It's only me who had an idea. So I was just helping the guy, and the border is the one who was aware where we were. So basically, it was like an opportunity where someone can even, basically, you can get in security challenges. But you see, we had no option. So the border took us. I was able to. I don't know where I managed to go, but I just found myself along Lwakabete Road. And then the moment I saw Spring Valley Road, then I dropped off. So it was a bit tougher for me. So I left the guy from Uganda, now being dropped somewhere along Thika Road. I hope he was able to manage and survive. But I think for me, if the government can give us an opportunity to listen to us, I think what government should do, number one, we are in a very hard time as a country because the young people are fighting for change. And now we're also getting into election cycle. The Kenyan election is where we do campaign 2 years before election.
Yeah.
So as young people, the change you are fighting for might not be able to come as expected because the politicians have already taken over. They're now campaigning. Now you hear like Gachagua and the team that are saying, mtusaidie kusukuma kabisa nyinyi vijana kwa social media. Now the government hears that one, it profiles the young people as part of the opposition. So it becomes hard for the young people even to articulate or even communicate or even engage the government because now the government is now pulling the opposition, the young people's change as a one side of a group. So me, given an opportunity, number one, I will ask the young people, we need to re-strategize how we are going around this one because with this election, and you have now 2 sides, the opposition and the government, and the moment you are against the government propels you to one side of the opposition, I don't think we shall have an environment for business, for peace, and for investment in this country for the next coming 2 years. It's just a matter of death and the protest, business, vandalism, and everything. I don't think government will even be able to understand our issues as young people in this politicking environment at the moment. So what I will request is that we need to go back to the drawing board as young people and then ask ourselves, how are we able to communicate the change you are communicating without getting a line or profile to either opposition or the government? And the moment you are not able to do that at the moment, this thing will not go far. It's just the death, business destruction, everything, because it's like some sort of fight and everything going around.
Thank you.
So I just want to ask the president, if possible, let him probably move around the country, engaging young people in town halls and trying to tell them this country belongs to us.
Yeah.
Whether president goes for second term or he goes one term, even Gachagua goes and the team goes for one term or second term, the country belongs to us young people. So let us understand that it is our future that can take, not the president, not the opposition.
All right. Thank you so much, Amos. Thank you for not just talking about your situation, but speaking to your thoughts and reflections. Before we go to the break, there's a really heartbreaking message coming in on WhatsApp. Let's see if we can bring it up. This is when we say the extremities of what people are facing. It's a young man there talking about having a newborn and not having the pediatrician there. Hello, team. This is Martin. I'm at AAR Hospital, Kiambu Road. My newborn is admitted in ICU, and I just received the report that the pediatrician cannot get to the hospital because all roads are closed. So heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, yeah.
Wangeshi, let's see if we are able to call Martin and just hear from him, if he's able to talk to us and just get to hear it, because it's good if we hear from Martin himself and hearing his voice saying what's going on, and so that those in authority can also hear from, the horse's mouth itself. But thank you, Martin. Thank you for sending us that message. Keep sending us the messages. Where are you? What's going on? How are the road closures impacting you? Are you in Nairobi, in Nakuru, in Mombasa, in Nyeri, in Kisumu, in Kericho, wherever you are? If roads have been closed, let us know. If they have not been closed and there's a smooth flow of business, let us also know. Let's take a break. We come back shortly and continue looking at what's happening across the country on this Saba day. It's 8 a.m. Good morning.
From them. But just that WhatsApp message that we played just before we broke at 8 a.m. was a heartbreaking update from Martin saying that he has a newborn in ICU and the pediatrician can't get to them. Martin now is on the line with us. Martin, good morning.
Morning, Janet. How are you?
I'm okay, Martin. How are you holding up?
All good. Thank you so much for calling. Yeah.
I'm so sorry for everything that's happening with your newborn. Tell us a little bit about your situation, Martin. How long has your baby been in ICU? And just give us an update.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Janet. So my baby was born on Thursday, and I had difficulties. So on Friday, we were taken to the ICU just to get support for oxygen as the doctor went to investigate why the patient. So that was done. Then Friday, an X-ray was done for the test. And on Saturday, there was some fluid in the lung. That's why the baby was unable to breathe. Then at the doctor called in and confirmed that the heart is okay. So yesterday, Sunday, we were all just in hospital, also together with my other kids to see the mom, because the mom has been away since Wednesday. But I had to take them back home and come back at night because I was afraid if I'll be able to access the hospital the morning. So I have left in the hospital, now waiting for the X-ray, which was done yesterday night. So we were waiting for the doctor, to interpret the X-ray for us to see if we have any problem. And the baby was brought into the ICU. So at 5 a.m. when I was now in the ICU to watch over the baby and to know the report is when we were told that it was called in and has given out the whole news and is unable to and even one is that now the people who are taking care of the baby at night were not even sure that they would be able to go out, and the next is now for the day will be able to start. So you can imagine people who are taking care of the baby who are in that ICU are so fatigued and we don't know now what will happen. The next other 6 months being unable to access the hospital. So we are in a dilemma. We don't know how the progress what people on maybe implemented by the doctor.
It's a sad situation for you, Martin, and we really are sorry. And of course, we know that this is your child, and there are other patients in this hospital and doctors who should be able to access the facility this morning to basically just treat their patients, would be delayed, if at all they'd be able to make it. This is not just doctors, but all health workers in that facility and many other facilities. You know, if they have got to go and prove to a police officer that, you know, I'm a doctor, I'm a nurse, I work at this health facility and I'm going to work, that's a whole conversation that they're having at roadblocks. And that is delaying their accessing to their patients and patients who are seeking treatment. If you're not in an ambulance, and you're in a matatu and you're saying that nilikuwa naenda hospitali, can you imagine how much you have to convince this police officer to first listen to you, that you're not in an ambulance but you're going to hospital, you are unwell, or you're taking this person as a patient and we were just taking them to hospital, because that's how many people end up in hospital. You actually use public transport or you use personal vehicles and you're going to hospital.
And the public transport will not be let through likely. If they tell you to walk, again, you are unwell. And the distances we are talking about are not small. The roadblocks, we've talked about how far they're starting. So from a public health perspective, this is incredibly dangerous, I think. Even the time that it takes a doctor to stop at a roadblock and talk to an askari, and we've talked about the game we've all gone through. At first, they'll play the game with you of, uko university, we are Zungu, fika hapo chini, and you're next. You're at Kenyatta, fika hapo chini. You get to Haile Selassie, it's tear gas and enda. You try again. By the time you've done all of that, depending on how far you're coming from, how many roadblocks you have to deal with, those are essentially lives at stake. It's your work, it's your patients that need you. Again, we've spoken to how incredibly the lack of thought and the lack of care, how callous, that's what I was looking for, how callous this is, and the implementation. There was, again, no prior warning. It was meant to be a regular working day. There's no clear exceptions for who should be able to. And COVID was a terrible time, but we knew exactly who was an essential worker and where they would go. But even at the base of this, we're still curtailing the basic freedom of movement, which is so problematic. Now that we have to start saying, can we exclude, can we include, can we, why? Why are we excluding and including in the first place?
And ideally, they should be, to your point, identify vehicle by vehicle. I keep saying, don't be lazy to do the work that you've been given to do, because that's probably one way to say, oh, I can see you have a doctor's badge. Okay, come this way with me, and then go through here as we continue to monitor the other cars. Somebody else we were supposed to have in studio with us today is Wanjira Wanjiru, a very well-known advocate. She's just sent me a message saying we've been blocked from accessing CBD, can't get past Nyayo roundabout, but very open to having a conversation on call. So hopefully in the course of the remaining hours of Fixing the Nation, we'll also be able to hear from Wanjira. She's been very vocal, pushing back on injustices. One of our foremost, I would say, activists in the country. Would have been incredible to host her alongside other folks this morning. But obviously, given the closures, she's not able to come. But hopefully, we'll be able to just get something from her. She's now trying to figure out where to go. She's saying, should I go home? She's also trying to, just navigate her way out of the CBD.
There's a comment by Morris Andati on YouTube that's just so true. He says, we've been stuck on a June-July 2024 loop. Today we protest, tomorrow we lament. The next day government provides statements. We see drama in the courts. The government provokes. We go back to protests. It's
something is really
cyclical.
Strange.
It's a cycle.
Yeah.
And at what point do we break it? What's required to break it? These demos, the reason they're being stopped is because they are an outward show of the displeasure that people have towards this administration. They're also a commemoration of an important time in our history, which was Saba, which was a pivotal time in our history, something that changed the course of where we are. Because if we're being honest, that was when the clamor for a new constitution had already begun. And then Saba, the repealing of Section 2A, and we found our way to where we are right now. All these things that people are trying to, one, commemorate, and to show displeasure at, they will still exist. Whether the roads are blocked or not, the displeasure does not go. If anything, it only heightens it. There's a lot of, now you could be Ugandan and suddenly now you've been radicalized because you've come into Nairobi and you're told go find the Southern Bypass as someone who's, it's their first time in Nairobi or second time. Go figure it out. So the displeasure, the disquiet is only getting worse.
Yeah, and let's see from the people that we're going to have conversations with this morning what this means and how the future would go. The person that we wanted to host at 7 a.m. is Wahu Kara. Wahu is a globally renowned social activist, and she's been there in the trenches for many years. She faced the wrath of the Moi administration in the 80s when she was accused of being one of those who were in the Mwa Kenya movement. Wahu, you're on the line. Good morning.
Good morning. I am, yes.
Thank you very much for speaking to us. And first, let's start with, you had started your journey to come to our studios this morning, and then you had to turn back. Tell us what happened.
Good morning. I am, yes. Yes, because I was ready to come.
Go ahead. You can reduce the volume of your device so that we are able to communicate.
Yes, because I was ready to come. And as I moved, I reached at...
Wahu, please reduce the volume of your radio or TV.
Okay.
It's giving you the confusion.
And then we can just speak on the phone so that then you don't hear yourself on the TV again or the radio.
Oh, okay, the TV, yes, okay.
All right, so you were telling us how it was when you were trying to come into the CBD to come to our studios.
Yes, I came and I was quite on time. I arrived at before 6 o'clock at the border of Nairobi County and Kajiado County. And that's where the roadblock was. And it could not allow anyone to move.
You mean on Magadi Road?
It is on Gong Road.
Okay.
From Gong to where it's just at the KBC,
Yep.
Yeah, that is where we were stopped and we couldn't come. And as I tried to argue my case with the police officers, they said, no.
Did they give you any reason or they just said no?
They said no one is allowed to reach the Nairobi city.
Oh, wow.
And they warned me that the blocks are even more as I moved to Nairobi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pole, and I mean, this is a situation that many people are facing this morning, but let's just get into our conversation. Wahu, many people who don't know who you are may have come across you as an activist in one way or the other. But tell us, in the 80s, before this Saba of 1990, and then moving on into the 90s, you were part of people who had rubbed shoulders with the law, if I just put it that way, in the 80s. What happened?
The struggle for our self-determination for this country has a history in itself. So I just found myself given the opportunity to participate at the historical moment of my time when I was young. As I attended Kenyatta University, graduated and became a teacher. And from the observation of how things were moving in our country, many of us decided that silence is not the answer. So we were trying many ways to find where our voice can be heard for our self-determination. And it's because we had gotten very deeply involved in understanding the social governance, the social dynamics of how people relate, from economics to politics to social relation. So in other words, I would say we had a sharp critique of how the world was ordered, not just Kenya. The issue of the East and West, the Berlin Wall, those kind of things intrigued our minds, and we were able to see that the world is not ordered correctly for the many people. So it is out of that critique that we participated in our own country as students, and even after we left and became teachers, we still continued with that vision that a better Kenya can happen. Right. And therefore participated as I could with others in that political thought. And the material time you are referencing in the 80s, we are those that they referred as dissidents because of just working out our thoughts and agreeing, and we were forced even to go to underground way of organizing. And I know I can speak about the More Kenya movement that was trying to address that issue. And that is how we rubbed shoulders with the government of the day, because we are very clear the issue of our lives are affected by the system. So it is the systemic questions we were addressing and arguing that we need to address. In particular, we cannot be a one-party dictatorship. Absolutely. Whereas we claim we are a democracy. So it is in view of that that I even lost my teaching career, but I still remained here. Many of my contemporaries, including my late husband, they went to exile, others were detained, others were killed, but we were relentless and steadfast to see this kind of dialogue like I'm having with you, because transformation agency is in our hands as people of our time. And my happiness is because I have lived to see, witness, and to tell. And today, we were working out space for thinking and action to take place, and so to speak, Saba.
Wahu, before you continue,
now I think,
well, just before you continue, I know you want to speak to what is happening right now, but there's a lot of people who are listening who, for them, More Kenya only means a way to cheat in an exam, to pass a note under a desk. You know, they don't know about the More Kenya movement. Please give us a bit of insight into what the More Kenya movement was. And you've spoken to, you had to now go a bit underground. Please tell us how that happened.
The one-party dictatorship of Moi could not allow people to congregate, even to meet. It was criminal even to be 2 or 3 somewhere. So the repression was so intense, and therefore we were organizing underground in trying to communicate these fundamental issues of our country. And no wonder, therefore, even if they want to say More Kenya is to cheat, because right from the word go, we were branded as dissidents, as people who want to destroy this country. So perhaps for better times is for people to find how the history of Kenya has been unfolding every material time. Because we have Mau Mau, which is still many people don't understand what it is. Now I'm talking about More Kenya, which many people even don't know what it is. I have no doubt in my mind, even many people are bewildered what the Gen Z is. But it is not the words that are important. It is the spirit of love, of freedom, dignified life, spirit of oneness, spirit of patriotic nations, nations that serve their own people. But we know of nations which have not been able to serve their own people because the states are not states which are for people. There are states for rulers to control and dominate and extract resources, including human life itself, for the expedience of the few. We serve the altar of finance capital. We serve profit. We don't serve human life. And if that is the total sum of the imagination some of us were able to appreciate and take space to engage and say life is more important than anything else. And the custody and stewardship of any governance that claims to be a people's governance should be able to meet that self-determination.
Wahu,
and that has been the journey from colonialism to post-independence. Because post-independence just took the colonial state and called it a Kenyan state. But it's not a Kenyan state. But I want to say, in our move, we've been able to deliver the new constitution. And the new constitution locates the sovereignty of the people. And that sovereignty of the people is what I think from my thinking as we celebrate the Saba, because we have the space now. People should be able to organize and mobilize within context of the content and locate the sovereignty of the people. If I may speak in Kiswahili, ukuu wa jamii dhidi ya ukuu wa dola. That would be the Kenyan state. And that's what we need to build.
Asante sana Wahu. Wahukara is, like we've written there, global social justice activist, and she speaks with so much passion and conviction. Also on the line, we have Professor Kivutha Kibwana, who, in the later years of the 90s, he's also actually joining us via video link. In the later years of the, in those 80s into the 90s, he was in the university teaching law students and also injecting as he was doing that. Professor Kivutha Kibwana, thank you very much for joining us. We will just say hello to you, take a quick break, and then come back and continue hearing from you and also hearing from Wahu. Stay on the line as well, Wahu. Prof, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Latif.
Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be speaking to you and also just seeking to understand Saba from your perspective, from what you were doing in the 80s into the 90s, and where we are right now, because you're a constitutional lawyer and you participated in writing our constitution. As Wahu is saying, we delivered unto ourselves a new constitution. Is it serving us? But stay on the line, both of you, Wahu Kara, Professor Kivutha Kibwana. We want to take a quick break. We come back and continue this conversation. 28 minutes after 8, we're live on Nation FM, NTV, and on all our social media platforms. Back in a moment.
Yes, we'd love to hear from you. We're getting back with Professor Kivutha Kibwana, who is speaking to us. Of course, at the time when he was a Gen Z, as Eric likes to say, there was a lot going on. But I want to start with speaking to Professor Kibwana. Have you attempted to come into the CBD this morning at all?
Yes, I did. Unfortunately, I live Ngong sides. So, I didn't know that the government has woken up earlier than the citizens. So I got, stopped. There was roadblock on the Ngong Road. Then I thought that I could access CBD through Langata Road. So I did that. But again, after, I think, Deleria, I again found that the road was blocked, and the police said that there is no going to town, and so I had to come back home and be able to speak to you from home.
All right. And thank you for making the time for us and even the many attempts to come to the CBD. I'll start with, does this remind you of anything that happened in the 80s and the 90s, or is this an entirely unique situation? And I'm speaking specifically to this curtailment of movement.
I think this is extreme because I remember as a university lecturer in 1990, we were able to go to Kamkunji, and it took a bit of effort, but we were able, to do that. There wasn't this kind of restriction of freedom of movement to the extent that it was impossible to go there. Again, the other critical Saba of the 1997, when I was the spokesperson of the pro-democracy movement, again, we were able to get to, Kamkunji, to get to many places and to actually, do our demonstrations. But this situation is, completely draconian. And like as I was, trying to come to town, seeing parents taking kids to school, because I think some schools have not been told to not to attend. You see those kids and their parents, they are walking, there is no, transport, and it's really, it draws tears into your eyes.
Professor, we've already talked about how you were already so socially aware and passionate about your country even back then. I'm just wondering, when you reflect on how Saba in many ways birthed the new constitution, then looking at the decades, 35 years later, what's the biggest heartbreak about what you had hoped would have been achieved then that hasn't come to light today?
I think that the biggest heartbreak is, one, at least in the 90s, the Saba, the Dibu Saba of 1990, that was when we tried to, push and say to ourselves, never again would we have a one-party state. And so the infamous Section 2A was now 1991 was repealed. And we must remember that we had if I can say, we had a multi-party state or democracy from 1963 to 69 for 6 years. And from 1969, when Jaramogi's party, KPU, was banned, up to 1982, we had a de facto one-party state. From 82, we had a de jure by law party state up to 1991. So that, actually, a lot of that life in our country, we were living under either a de facto one-party state or a de jure, or that is by law, by fact and by law. Now, we are kind of being brought back, even after the second major Saba in 1997, when we now were pushing for our constitution, and even after that push, we had to stay until 1910 to get the constitution. And so what is happening now is a complete trashing of the, multi-party democracy, a complete trashing of the constitution that we've, people fought very hard for. And when you look at the people who really were very pivotal, again, it's the young people, the students in 1990s, now again, young people. And so when you also see the brutality that is being meted out, to these young people who are just asking for implement the constitution. We want opportunities. We want, as Wawo was saying, we want dignity. We want some life and so on. So, one is asking, what is the end game? What does the government think it is going to achieve by, muzzling these young people, muzzling the country? So I'm just thinking that this is like how you create recipe for civil strife, because when one looks at what happened in Kenya human rights yesterday, when these grieving mothers are simply saying that they want their kids remembered, they want an answer to, this loss of, life for these people they birthed and they, thought would secure them in the future. So I'm just thinking that the leadership, of this country, it has to really rethink, and all the sectors have to rethink and say that this is not the Kenya that we expected. We expect, we want to, continue living in, and therefore, even when Raila says he's going to Kamkunji to commemorate and stuff like that, even those days, it was Akina Orengo, Akina Shikuku, even in that famous, iconic vehicle, I think Raila was not there. So I'm just thinking that as I conclude, I'm just thinking that even how will people go to Saba if in Kamkunji, Raila's Kamkunji, if the roads are blocked?
If they're not able to come to town.
How can the government, since in government, demonstrate against itself? So these are contradictions which must be resolved.
Prof, we'll come back and just stay on the line. We'll continue. We want to play the bite of Raila Odinga speaking about that yesterday and saying, this day of Saba should not be about protests. It should be about remembering the journey and how far we've come. We'll play that bite and also now get your direct reaction to it. But let's cross over to Mombasa and see what's happening in Mombasa. Our NTV reporter, Kevin Mutai, is there, and he's got some update from there. Kevin, thank you for joining us. Good morning. And what's happening around you? I can see, actually, it looks like it's just a clean city.
It's 8:45, and we are here at Saba within the Central Business District in Mombasa, where the demonstrations were supposed to kick off. And a few minutes ago, what we just saw is that a truck carrying anti-riot police officers have already been deployed in this particular area. And of course, as at now, we are reporting to you that the situation is calm, although some people have boycotted coming to the Central Business District because some of the shops are still closed, unlike the normal working days. The transport, the PSV matatus are operating, both PSV and private. The roads are open, unlike other regions where we've witnessed police mounting roadblocks to block access to the Central Business District. Compared to what we witnessed the other time, just recently on the June 25th demonstrations, by now we would have people already on the streets, but this time what we know from the law enforcement agencies is that they declined to issue permission to those who had requested to be part and parcel of the Saba demonstrations. And just to quickly go through a letter from the OCS Central Police Station directed to the human rights activists, it says, and I quote, "The office has declined and cancels the request for security reasons. The intelligence so far gathered indicated that the goons with criminal motives will, or rather intends to hijack the process to cause anarchy, mayhem and looting in the interest of peace and stability of the coastal tourist town of Mombasa. We find that it is not advisable for you to hold processions for security reasons stated above." So that is a letter from the OCS Central Police Station declining to issue them with permission to proceed with their protest. So as of now, the situation remains calm, as I said, because what they had intended and notified police, they were supposed to begin their protest here in Saba, go through Mwembe Tayari, Fontanella, and then end their procession at Uhuru Gardens with the aim of commemorating the Saba Day, as they have been doing in the previous years. So as I said, security is in check. We've also witnessed the deployment of plainclothes police officers. What we also don't know, and perhaps we'll be rushing to also try and have a look at, is the situation at the standard gauge railway terminal in Miritini. Remember yesterday the government, or rather the state agency, the Kenya Railways, suspended temporarily the SGR services. So we don't know if that will still be the situation this morning, but we've also received some complaints from passengers saying that there have been some delays also in flights, getting flights to leave the coastal town of Mombasa to Nairobi. So we'll be checking on all that for you, and of course both road and the SGR, as I said, to just try and understand exactly what's happening and come back to you with more information regarding Saba Day protests here in Mombasa. Back to you, Latif.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Kevin Mutai from Mombasa, giving us an update of what's happening there. We'll be crossing over to other parts of the country as well as we go on with the show Fixing the Nation, just to touch base with all our reporters and hearing what's happening. You can follow a live blog, nation.africa. You will be able to see up-to-the-minute accounts of what our reporters are reporting from across the country on what's happening. If you just go to nation.africa, you can let it run. It's updating and refreshing itself minute by minute as new updates come in. So you can start from the bottom, come to the present, or you can start from the present and see what was happening earlier. It's your choice.
Yes, I know soon we'll be getting back to Professor Kivutha Kibwana. Another thing that's refreshing nonstop is how we feed, our YouTube feed, and across different places. Top YouTubers is just giving honors to Professor Kivutha Kibwana. And there's various people who I had seen some about still the road closures, but I think we've gotten to the point where we've understood that there will be disruptions across the place. Mombasa, however, bit of a different picture. Bar the no. For those who are wondering what you're reacting to, is live footage of a matatu that's knocked over a boda and a passenger. They do appear to only have minor bruises because they've both been able to wake up. But yeah, it's an intersection within Mombasa CBD. I'm not exactly sure which one, maybe Kenyatta or Moi Avenue. It seems to be one of the major ones. But yeah, there's a police officer, a traffic police officer on site. But just a traffic incident there. A matatu knocked a boda that was crossing. It had a passenger as well, a pylon passenger. They are both standing, so hopefully, they seem to only have minor injuries. That is good. Happy to see that they're well, and that hopefully that is cleared. But I was wondering, with Mombasa specifically, over the last year, we've seen protests in Mombasa go really, really well. The police largely have protected protesters, and civil society, whoever it is that goes and gives that letter to the OCS, they have been received, and then they have gotten the protection that is required, and the protests have gone on, and people go home by lunchtime, by 2 p.m. This time now, the police said there was information that goons were likely to infiltrate the protests. That's according to Kevin Mutai's report from the letter from the OCS, and that they were not able to. They denied the request. And I've always said it's not for the police to allow you to protest. It is to protect you as you protest, to advise on routes, etc. So already that language is a bit strange. But I'm hoping what has changed within Mombasa, could it be orders from above coming again? Because we have seen how the people of Mombasa have consistently done a good job of this. Just as you were speaking, I'm like, I want to know what brief they get that others are not getting. And
you can see the organizers of the protest also have a specific, like we're saying, there's a specific route. There's where they said we are going to begin our protest march from here and end at this particular grounds, and then from this point on we shall then disperse, right? And this is one group. Now, if there are other protesters who would have come in and started saying, we are protesting from a different direction and all, and so on and so forth, that's how it becomes chaotic. Because you, as the organizers, you said we are moving from, Kenyatta Avenue, going through, this particular section and ending up in these grounds. If that is not followed, then it just becomes chaotic. And probably that's what you see even in Nairobi. Is there any specific route that for example, today, where is the protest taking place? Is it Kamukunji? Is it Kenyatta Avenue? Is it Moi Avenue? Is it Kimathi Street? Is it Uhuru Park? Is it, there's so many places that, it just ends up, and that's how infiltrators would be able to take advantage of it. That's how goons would come in and disrupt from one end, and that just gets chaotic as well. But let's hear also from Professor Kivutha Kibwana. Prof, you have participated in many of these Sabasabas. You said, for example, the 1991 Sabasaba, you were among those who were able to, go into Kamukunji grounds, and we were told last week by Injeru Kathangu that they organized it to go to Kamukunji grounds. There was a football match there. That was, the excuse for people to congregate there. Police came and dispersed people, and that's how people now left Kamukunji ground to come towards the CBD. Is that the same recollection that you have, and how were they organized?
I think that time the organizers were actually the political opposition, which had begun to be formed, the Forum for Restoration of Democracy in Kenya. And there wasn't as much input then from the civil society, but there was a lot of the university students during that time, because the university, particularly University of Nairobi and also Kenyatta, were seedbeds of dissent and protest, and some of the ideas about how the country should change were coming, from the universities. So Gathangu, the young Turks, were really very central under the tutelage of Odinga, Odinga,
Jaramogi,
Matiba, Rubia. So really, and those were some of the very key people involved, and of course they suffered significantly for that. And so there were those two generations, so to speak, and a third generation of university students, those young people. And it is true that it took a lot of courage to first of all get to Kamukunji, because of the reason why that was a focus was its historic motif or metaphor, in terms of a place where during the fight for independence, it was an important place for Africans beginning to congregate to say things that were not correct. And of course there was that that dispersal, and of course the deaths, because again that is when police involvement began to lead to those deaths. But fortunately, because as the West began to say that they don't want to do business with dictatorships because the Soviet Union had fallen, so they didn't see a threat from that side, and therefore even after Moi gave the Saitoti Committee to go around looking for views about how Kano should be reformed, he now realized that it was not a question of reforming Kano. It was a question of doing away with the one-party state. And so that very critical push of the first Sabasaba is the one which gave us at least a multi-party system again, although the opposition was not able to come together, and we were trying very hard to get them. I remember those days, talking to some of those. We were talking to some of those people, asking them, please come together for 1992. But there was the splitting of Ford K, Ford people, Ford Asili, and as a consequence, Moi was able to come back with a very, about a third of the vote.
Right.
And of course, some of the tactics that were used again was making sure that places where he didn't have support, there was now this thing that we are seeing in terms of goons. I like to call the young people alternative youth, because they are misled and they're given small money and they don't, sometimes know what they are doing. They're hurting themselves. But there was that aspect of more using violence where he thought he wouldn't get votes. Some people being told, go home, you are madoadoa. And so that is really what kind of happened. But just to conclude to say, one recurring thing is just from those Maimon days, when the people who really fight for freedom, those are not the people who come into power. That also happened in the 1992, 1997, and even as of now, that's a lingering question. Right. These young people who are giving up their lives, who really are coming forward.
Professor, apologies. Apologies. We do. Please hold on to that line of thought and don't leave, because in the next hour we still want to continue this conversation with you. I think your insights are critical, and you'll pick up on that last point that you just made. So please stay on the line with us on Fixing the Nation. For now, though, we have Ibrahim, I believe, who is at CBD and wants to give us a live update. There he is. We can see him just to give us an update of what's happening around there.
Well, Janet, good morning. Indeed, we are at the Nairobi CBD. I am right at the junction or the roundabout of Kenyatta Avenue and Uhuru Highway, here to track the updates this morning. And reports are out there. We have covered these reports of roadblocks all the way coming into the CBD. And early in the morning myself, while coming to work, I was able to, go through various levels of roadblocks to get here. And for any person who comes from any part of the CBD coming into town, and especially hoping to use this particular roundabout into town, you taking Kenyatta Avenue right into the other parts of the CBD, then there is one last roadblock which is very lethal. From what I am seeing here, a couple of vehicles turned away, some directed to take a different route through Parliament Road, but there is no access into the CBD using Kenyatta Avenue. If Fidel can show you, that is one of the vehicles, of course, being redirected, hopefully having been sent towards Parliament or a different route. I am not sure. I don't know whether I can speak to the driver to even know where they were going to and what it is that they're doing. Sir, can you speak to us? All right, thank you very much. Well, they say they cannot speak on camera. They have proceeded to where they are redirected. But what you'll be keen to notice is that the few vehicles which are within the CBD are allowed to come out. But getting into the CBD, again, more vehicles there to show the live pictures of what is happening this morning. And this amidst a drizzle. These police officers are brazing a drizzle to do this. It has been drizzling the entire morning. But they are working. All the vehicles, again, like I said, being redirected. I have seen some of our colleagues, of course, including one of our editors who was trying to get into town, tried to show her badge, and she was directed to go and use Parliament Road. Parliament Road, of course, also has that razor wire. So it means you're sent to one area, then from that area you're sent on to the next. And it is going to be quite a struggle for anyone to get into the CBD. No vehicle, like I said, is allowed to get here using Kenyatta Avenue. And this is the situation. Earlier in the morning, I came through our Yakiwe, which Brian Obuya spoke to, and the roadblock started all the way. You will be surprised, Janet, because I happened to be driving from way out of the town. I drove all the way from Limuru, and we had a roadblock right at Rironi. You can imagine how far that is. All the way from Rironi, coming to Yakiwe, yet another roadblock at Kangemi, another roadblock at the Westlands roundabout where I was directed. Sir, you want to speak to us? Kindly? Yeah, I have some drivers here who have been redirected. Kindly pull over by the side so that we get to speak to you, kindly, so that you don't block anyone. Kindly pull over and tell us where you are heading to and where you've been directed to. At least we have some gentleman here who's gracious enough to speak to us this morning. They are live on NTV. Of course, they have been redirected. You do not want to block the road, so it's going to be very brief. Sir, very briefly, kindly tell me your name and where you are heading to and what you've been told at the roadblock. You're live on NTV. Okay,
I'm Abdikadir Mohammed. Actually, I was heading to work today, but now we have been told there is no go zone actually. You can't go even by feet or by vehicle.
Where are you coming from? How many other roadblocks have you been able to pass?
Thika Road, so I've passed around 3 roadblocks already.
So what happens right now? Have you been redirected to use a different route into the CBD?
No, actually they told us to go home and work from home if possible.
Is your work the kind of work that can be, can you work from home really, as they have suggested?
No, because we don't carry our machines, so we can't work. it's not possible.
All right.
Yeah.
Abdikadir, we hope then this situation will be handled. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day. Well, that is Abdikadir, one of the workers here who was getting into the CBD for work. He has been instructed to go back home and work from home. From what he says, he's come from Thika Road past 3 other roadblocks to get here. And what he thought would be the last roadblock as he gets into the CBD, he is turned back. Fidel will just show you his pictures slowly getting back into Uhuru Highway, back into University Way, and perhaps into Thika Road and back home to try and work. But then again, that is the situation that is at the CBD. From here, we will be moving to different other roadblocks or different other points of town to see exactly how things are unfolding. Right into downtown, where we hope to have our colleague Laban Shaban. If he won't be there, we'll also be there, because we have at least that laxity or that advantage of moving around right now, having made our way into town. But basically, this is how it is. More vehicles continue piling up. This would have been worse had it been as protests or possible protests were handled previously. We would have seen more vehicles here. But right now, owing to the many levels of roadblocks outside town, then that is why you're seeing a handful of vehicles getting here every few seconds, every few minutes, and being redirected. I'm not sure. This is something I'll find out if we take a break. I'm not sure whether we have a gazetted officer who would speak to us on this particular operation, whether there are any people who are allowed in. By gazetted officer, I mean level OCPD or sub-county police commander and above. I'm not sure if we have such command here, but if we did, I would perhaps try to speak to them and get to know whether there is a criteria to decide who comes into the CBD, who does not come into the CBD. But like I said, this happens amidst a drizzle here in Nairobi. It is drizzling. It appears like it's going to rain later on, but Nairobi CBD is at a standstill. Janet, Eric, and Mariam.
Ibrahim, thank you so much for that, for covering that comprehensively for us. We will be crossing over to Ibrahim. We do have to quickly go into a break. We'll be right back. We still have online Professor Kivutha Kibwana, all of you who are telling us about the situation on the ground as we mark the 35th anniversary of Saba. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.